That's right, it's Maru's map pick to start things off. Of course, if you can take your opponent's map off them, it is a huge momentum swing in your favor. But this man's going to be sitting pretty. The shortest rush distance in the pool. Fantastic tank positions all about. Let's put your hands together for the man in the top left side of this semi-finals. Representing Onside Gaming, it is Maru.
And in the bottom right of Babylon, looking to change history, looking to advance forward into the finals of Katowice. He is the Blue Zerg for Alpha X, RagnaroK.
Such a tricky player, RagnaroK. One who really has had so much success off roach aggression and odd timings and interesting ways of really cutting out his opponent's ability to dictate the pace of the game and then getting way ahead and swarming them over in kind of the late mid-game with the masses of Banelings. RagnaroK, if he gets a lead, we know what he'll do. And it's all going to be about shoving Banelings into planetary fortresses, wiping them out, and not letting that Terran keep up an equal number of bases.
That does seem to be what he missed out on, though, when they last faced, was actually being able to throw Maru off totally and completely. There's no doubt that RagnaroK, better than most likely than most Zergs, throw out some cheeses, throw out some ways very early on to try and gain control over the game, where Zerg is usually more so supposed to be reacting, supposed to be prepping for whatever their opponent was doing, but it just did not work against Maru. It's a new day, it's a new tournament, it's a new format as well. Of course, we all know GSL, a lot of prep goes into that. It's one of the reasons that Maru certainly is repeat champion of GSL, but these long, grueling days tend to be where he does falter. The last few Katowices, and this day has been longer than all the previous ones.
A long day at the end of a long tournament, definitely something that weighs on the players. Maru likes that GSL format where he's playing in his home city, goes in, plays a match, and then gets to go back and prepare for the next one usually. Definitely excels in that. But here, long form tournament, just back-to-back matches, very minimal time to prepare for the next one. It's all about your ability to just float through them. RagnaroK did go pool first. He's got a third hatchery and a quick link speed on the way, so RagnaroK likely to try maybe a small link flood, but 4 lings have gone across the side of the map for now. Oh, losing a drone, a great start for Maru.
Yeah, that's a good one. For Maru, it looks like he's going to go into a third CC, actually, so no second gas on the field quite yet. See if he is going to play it safe, at least with getting some Banshees. It is shorter rush distance on this map. Wouldn't be insane at all for RagnaroK to throw down a Roach Warren, of course, with the hopes of having Maru surprised by it.
Those 4 lings are going to be looking for the Reaper snipe. Link speed is about to kick in. The Reaper is down here. The lings are nearby. RagnaroK's really trying to hide those, and there we go. When the Queen pushes this Reaper back, the lings will be waiting on the low ground, potentially to clean it up. But as it goes through for a snipe, another drone in the sights of that Reaper. Good catch on the Spore trick there for RagnaroK. Keeps it alive. But my gosh, the Reaper's getting out of there. Already small psychological victories for Maru. As his extra command center comes in, extra barracks going down. Yep. Looks like he wants to go into that bio play.
This could be extremely weak to something aggressive early on, but Maru trusting his Reaper scouting, believing that RagnaroK will not do anything aggressive in the early game, and he's right about that. He is absolutely right. So no Banshee necessary. Yes, that can give you some benefit later on, but we don't have to talk about that. The point of this streamlined build right into that second barracks is that you are going to be able to get to Marines, Medivacs very, very quickly, all the upgrades you would like. Not stopping building his Hellion production, though, not yet anyways. He is going to swap that off, but he wasn't the most greedy you could be with this opener with only 2 Hellions, I think is literally the greediest thing you could do.
He meant to be quite far ahead in workers as a Zerg versus Terran, yet they've been dead even with Maru even in the lead for a lot of this early game. Big supply block there for RagnaroK as well. The nerves potentially showing in a semi-final match. Going to need to brush that off and move on forwards to keep up with Maru. Otherwise, he's just going to have more stuff when the fighting starts. And right now, Maru's Hellions poking forwards, looking to slow down the creep spread. And Urubu there caught in the middle of the action.
Save him. Beat him.
There is actually a curse. If you shoot that guy on purpose, you do lose the game.
Yeah.
Some say it's just reading tea leaves, but I've seen it happen at least twice, Zombie Grub, at least twice.
At least once this tournament, actually. Thought he remembered sacrificing him, but ended up losing out. No, it's actually a very, very basic ZVT, more macro-oriented than I was actually giving, well, RagnaroK credit for, to be honest, but RagnaroK's going to try and go toe-to-toe with Maru's multitasking macro defense late game setup, which is, well, basically the best in the entire world.
Yeah, Maru's playing kind of vanilla. He's not doing anything too fancy, but RagnaroK's the one who hasn't been hitting that economy as fast as he potentially could. He scouts the third command center, starts his lair, but that is by no means a quick lair. 5 minutes 10. That means Baneling speed is minutes and minutes away, as is Evolution Chambers. Not even started. 1-1 has begun for Maru. So RagnaroK are simply a little behind the curve on the early stage build-up. But if he can shut down the first pressures from Maru, he'll be good. He hasn't taken any big damage. I think it was only like 1 or 2 drones that have gone down. 1 to the Reaper, 1 to the Hellions poking in. And he's going to go for the 4th base up here in the corner of the map. I do really like that. Keep in mind, that's where Reyna went for the 4th. And remember that tank position that Oliveira abused. That looked really brutal.
That's true. Flip the positions, of course, and that's exactly what happened. So, I mean, that's not that the tank is necessarily what abuses that as much as it does cover the Marines' retreat and allows them to consistently pressure. Well, looking at this pressure, it's not going so hot. The Hellions, oh, actually 3 of them do survive. For sure only would be 1. And in fact, it was a huge distraction that we even fell for. Those medevacs are boosting across the map right into the main base. Easy peasy. 16 drones go down. The spawning pool now in Maru's sights. And RagnaroK is like, yeah, that just happened.
Yeah, as I was saying, he's already a little behind on the openings, and now after 16 drones go down, it's smooth sailing for Maru. A nice, easy game to kind of warm up for this series so far. One where RagnaroK now needs to dig deep, and he's got to bring out a Hail Mary. Whether he goes Burrow Banelings or a big giant backstab, he's going to have to catch Maru off guard, maybe look for a perfect sandwich or something like that. But definitely, he needs something spicy to get back in this one.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it can be. You know, you talk about comeback units, comeback strategies for the Zerg, and it really is, you know, burrowed banelings, fungals, not even really, especially not with this composition. And then otherwise, yeah, a big surround even might not cut it. Even if he does manage to get a big surround, catch Maru off guard, Maru always has the option of at least evacuating with whatever can get into those medevacs, so it should never be just game over because of that.
Gosh, he's so accurate. I mean, to some of you, it might look blazing fast, and yet he's so much more methodical. He just never misclicks than any other pro gamer. For Maru, and look at that, even deselects the siege tank there. Wow, pre-sieges it. He's got Hellbats guarding the tank, Marines spreading, putting extra workers on gas behind it. I love this first-person view. Just gives me such an appreciation for how quick he is. Ling Runby is on his 3rd base, and he does stim his units down from his rally point. A few SCVs will fall, but he sees no more units on the defense, and he decides, okay, well, guess what? If you commit your Lings to a run by, you can't defend your 3rd base.
Yeah, we got 10 Banelings forming, guys, but that's not going to take care of everything. Oh, but we do have actually more Banelings here. Maru, he handles the run by fine, though. Only a couple of SCVs went down. Back on the focus in the front lines. Again, even if he has some trouble with the Baneling count, he could always pick up, he could always leave, or he could try and snipe every single Baneling down and just win the game right here, right now.
Standing their ground in the face of the Banelings, just blasting him down before they even get into reach. Beautiful play, and now at a 50 supply advantage. 76 workers for 60, telling us that, yes, some SCVs may have been damaged in the run-by, but very few actually went down. And he's going to be cleaning up those Banelings as well. Maru far ahead in this game. Now adding Marauders, 8 barracks, 2nd factory. But this push here, this pack of Marines and tanks, completely unanswered. And of course, RagnaroK just does not have the numbers to keep up.
Now, another run-by attempt to at least throw Maru off, but that is not happening. Doesn't even really need to snipe Banelings at this point. That was just all that was left over. The Marines concave, the Marines dive into that hatchery, and that is going to be game number 1. Maru making it look easy.
Straightforward style, one that was maybe open to aggression from the opponent, but the scouting was good, the pressure was fantastic, and he was ahead at every stage of that game. The dominant performance that we expected to kick things off.
It just, 16 Marines on the main, man. You have nothing there to defend. They instantly grab the drones. That's going to make it impossible for most Zergs to make a comeback off of. And I guess it just really maybe had to do with RagnaroK not being able to see exactly what the follow-up was to 3CC. Because you can figure out the 3CC off a couple of things, even the supply depots at the front, the amount of Hellions, 4, not 6. But then actually knowing what the follow-up is, I mean, that is a little more in question. And if you do know for a fact they're going to go for the 2 medevac drop, you don't exactly know where it is. And even if you find it on the way over, they could hold and then come back when you aren't expecting it. It is tricky, but it's not supposed to be just that one action, quick game. That's going to be one that RagnaroK really has to shake off quick.
It's the most momentous moment of RagnaroK's career. Being in the top 4 of a world championship is something that he has never experienced before. And of course, being a big underdog, it's easy to tunnel vision. The adrenaline can spike up. And when that happens, you do tend to hyper-focus on certain things, lose track of your minimap. He's going to have to take a deep breath, reset, and try to smooth things out for map number 2, because this man in the bottom left, he is absolutely unflappable. Let's put our hands together for the red Terran player. It's Maru.
And hopefully able to shake off game number 1 quick. He's got the rest of the series to play out. If he wants to move on to the finals, he's got to get everything straight and narrow. Really just do better in that early game. In the top right, we do have the blue Zerg, RagnaroK.
He's going 14 Overlord. Very interesting. Normally you see a 13 Overlord, but RagnaroK with a slightly different opening here.
No extractor trick?
No extractor trick.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, normally, yeah, could just be a sign of him doing things a little bit nervously there. But we'll see exactly if he continues forwards or not. Cistern is his map pick. Remember that last map, not the worst one to lose, because it is, of course, the Terran's choice. We've got a lot of Zerg supporters out there. And some Terran ones coming in on the left side as well, of course.
Of course.
Hard to keep the Maru supporters out. They are, of course, everywhere in the world at this point. He has led, really, all of the Terran hopes since 2018. Even in times when there was a lot of Terran players struggling, Maru was the one guy that stood out, and he just said, hey, it doesn't matter what everyone else is struggling with as a Terran player, I'm still winning tournaments.
Yeah, he has been that shining light that, well, then became almost an impossible to reach journey. It just, you couldn't actually get to play like Maru. Maru was the only one doing it. Some of the Terrans started to catch up, started to learn as well what made him so unique, and they have tried to replicate everything about Maru's play, but there's only so much you can do. So he still remains the top Terran in the world and is looking to get to those finals to accomplish his own destiny, perhaps. Claris brought that up. Actually win that global championship, something that you feel, if you ask them that you think Maru's won one, people might be like, oh yeah, didn't he? Like, didn't that happen? No, actually. But he's also looking to be the first Terran in the finals since 2017, I believe.
Wow. TY?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
All right, TY. First stats, yep, $100,000, one off some beautiful tank Raven pushes if memory serves. But this is, of course, that would be huge to get back up there. Maru is going to be coming in with that Reaper. It's interesting to see the way he has that little towel as well on his mouse. Not sure how long he's been using that for, but he was adjusting that in the early game, kind of getting it stabilized. I look at that and I think that can't be good for your accuracy, and then I look at him never make a single misclick, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That'll be doing it. You know, he used to wear wristbands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a little time there where he was doing that. I guess he just found that this was easier to work with, I'm not sure. But as you said, he's obviously very precise with it. So this time around, we did not have a 3cc build. I mean, really, with the map order, I would not have been shocked if it was the reverse. He chose the last map, the shorter one, more aggressive, to do something on 2 bases. No, he chooses Ancient Cistern, but a larger map is going to go up to, okay, double starport.
I was like, is that a third gas? I was like, what is that for? I feel like this, Gumio did it. Oliveira did it, now Maru's doing it. Are we just going to see 2-port BC as a normal part of the meta now? This is a very committed build order.
Yes.
RagnaroK does have an Overlord in the back. If that sees the third gas, it would be a big tell, but Maru knows it's there, and he's going to build a Viking, and I would expect a Fusion Court to come down. Now, wouldn't it be mad if it was like, no, it's just double starport speed banshees? Like,
well, that would be really weird. Now, that's interesting. So I believe Oliveira and Gumio, when they do this build, it is off the command center first. Like, I think both of them do it that way. And then, you know, it is a really tight build. Affording 2 battle cruisers is insane on the cost themselves. Even the supply cost is really big.
Did he forget his Fusion Core? No, it's actually 2-port Banshee. Are you kidding me?
Nice. I was going to say, I don't know if you can afford it in the way that this has played out. He was still producing Hellions as well. And no, actually, he could not have it. 2 Banshees instead, and their speed upgrade on the way. So they should be also going into some battle mech.
Maru bringing out a battle mech build order, blocking the Zergling Scouts as well very nicely. RagnaroK has a Roach Warren, which will help him out against the Hellions.
Wow.
Yep, didn't see the gas. May have spotted the workers returning gas, but just going Roaches for now, which is very safe And if RagnaroK can get an Overseer or a Zergling in, anything to see those Banshees ahead of time will be good. He's building Spore Crawlers, so it's not like he's going to take massive damage from the early Banshees. It's more when there's 4, 5, 6 of them, they start just darting around and picking off your queens. So, of course, RagnaroK will need to get up some anti-air. Usually, players think Corruptors and Mutas are really bad at dealing with the Banshees because they're so fast they can scoot away, and those units don't serve much other purpose. However, in this scenario, when it's 2-port Banshee, I think it's totally valid to go Mutas.
Yes, absolutely. As someone who tries this and then dies immediately, absolutely. If they go fast enough Mutas, it can work. But that's not exactly what RagnaroK is thinking, so he is instead going for a lot of Roach Ling. He's going to be heading with nothing that shoots up across the map against someone who's making everything that shoots down. It just is not a good recipe for a great TDC.
Maru's build order is super weird, but it happens to be one of the best possible things against what RagnaroK's doing. He's going to hide his Banshees to the last possible second because he wants RagnaroK to overcommit. And then 5 Banshees are going to fly out and ruin RagnaroK's day. Keep an eye on RagnaroK's camera. When he sees these Banshees, he is going to be very unhappy because this is such bad luck. Oh,
here it comes, guys. Watch the camera. Watch the camera. That is a lot of Banshees. So far, no reaction, but he's got to be reacting in his head right now. Like, this is a disaster. He's going to have to deal with all these Banshees for the rest of the game. Of course, Maru is going to have all the time in the world, all the safety in the world back at home to perfect his macro, where RagnaroK's going to be trying desperately to get a 4th, and then his creep spread out, his queen's alive. A Ling run by, looking to buy sometimes, also caught by the Hellions. This could just not be more perfect for Maru.
Maru is cleaning this map up right now. The Banshee's gonna get over to that side. And without that Spore Crawler between the bases, already all the Transfuse is gone. One queen goes down, the Spore could get picked off as well. Maru, for some reason, pulls away there. I would have liked him to clean that Spore up and maintain position outside the base. Oh, it's a barbecue!
Yeah, the Lings can't even get us around. There's too many of them are already dead, so now the Hellions will be involved in barbecuing up the drones, perhaps. The Spore even going to be targeted. You just have enough Banshees to do so. And not even to lose that Banshee. The queen was like, I'll go get it, and well, you don't actually have detection, so no.
Deadly, disgusting, and a dreadful position to find yourself in. RagnaroK's build choice would have been perfect if Maru played the same as he did in Game 1. But here, a complete switch up of styles, and it feels like he's one step ahead on the strategies. RagnaroK being caught flat-footed, and it's not because he's a bad player, it's literally because the build order just is so perfect for Maru to set up for that next stage. He can now swap into ground back, Cyclones, upgrades, Blue Flame, Magfield, and he can expand all over the map. RagnaroK is just licking his wounds and trying to survive.
I like to say that there really aren't that many hard build order counters in StarCraft 2. Fortunately, just so much goes into a game. It just can't be that simple, but this was awfully close to it. Maru would have to mess up big time to let this game go, and I'm going to say it actually all revolved around that single Ling. If indeed it had seen guys on the Geyser, as Pig had suggested, then he might have been a little wary. He might have said, okay, I need to check that again. But as our observer pointed out, he didn't get anywhere close to that refinery that was actually mining, and so RagnaroK had no idea. He was hoping for that 3rd CC, maybe a Banshee or 2, but they're going to be across the map, would be an okay scenario. Instead, it is all this and more.
RagnaroK Spire about to finish. He's going to be going for air units. Will it be Corruptors or will it be Mutalisks? We'll find out shortly. Mutalisks on the way. They shoot up and shoot down, are a bit quicker as well. So a very good choice. And you know what? RagnaroK's doing a good job of stabilizing with the Queens to help support. He's got some Roaches on the ground, but now the Cyclone Hellion's here. He's got to hold that Roach key down. Oh, he's trying to keep building more Mutas. That's interesting. Maybe thinking of going for the old school Muta Zergling style against this. Oh my gosh, the Spores just keep disappearing.
Yeah, the problem would be that if the Banshees have to be taken care of by any amount of Mutas, then it's not as massive as it might seem. Battle Cruisers, the Cyclones, a little better against them as well. All right, so the Mutas revealed themselves. They are going to chase down the Banshees. The Banshees outrun the Overseers, usually the problem. So eventually, some of them will be able to get away. In fact, they do. Coming back home, helping out the Cyclones, able to come back and do that. And it looks like they have fully retreated from the 3rd, or, well, they got the job done, didn't they? So yeah, they came back.
Roaches are on the way. The double Evo chamber finally going down. RagnaroK trying to recover here. I do think Infestors might be the best comeback unit in this scenario. Not super reliable, but Pathogen Glands and Fungal can catch the Cyclones and the Banshees, and Neural, of course, can turn games around at just about any point against mech. It's not super high percentage, but you've got to go for a bit of a gamble if you're in RagnaroK's shoes.
That's a very good point. I mean, that could actually work out, but so far, no Infestation Pit. So far, no Infestors being made, just a lot of Roach Ravager. Now here, all right, so the Banshee not exactly doing a whole lot anymore. They get caught by the queens. You see now RagnaroK's point of view. He's also very, very fast. Muta's getting corralled, and well, hey, Lings are actually going to the third base. Is Maru starting to get split a little bit here? Can the Muta survive? Some of them will go down. The Lings are at that third base, currently dealing a decent amount of damage. 20 SCVs going down, guys. That's actually a lot done there.
RagnaroK getting his scramble, and remember, we thought RagnaroK was going to be tilted on the camera early, but he didn't react at all. Terrible build situation, didn't react. We now see the first-person view, looks super calm. He's playing his heart out right now, and actually fighting back against Maru.
I think if he had gotten more of a surprise, it's possible the Cyclones would not have had enough room to back away. That is one of their weaknesses, but it wasn't as Maru was still running around. Maru collected his forces. He got on top of that choke at the very least. He pulls back his Cyclones, and they have gotten so many lock-ons. This will not snowball in the way that RagnaroK was hoping.
Impressive hold for Maru there. Spotted it, pulled back. The Banshees do so much damage, and not only that, the way he morphed the Hellbats, got on top of those Ravagers and really did a lot of damage as they were trying to chase the Cyclones down. A desperate ditch push there for RagnaroK, but not able to close the gap, and now he's got a few Mutalisks poking around. He's trying to defend the counter swing from Maru. Sporkriller does shoot down one of the Banshees, but 5 of those left, and a pack of Cyclones with a few Hellions. Lings going around, but look like they want to get a flank on this.
Just go for the run by, which might be successful. The Banshees are coming back home, so they might be able to take care of that. Muta is now all but one dead, so don't have to worry about that too much anymore. I guess it can sometimes be very difficult to end the game with this particular composition, but it does feel like Maru, the one problem would have been being severely distracted. The Mutas on one side, the Lings on another, the Cyclone suddenly up against a wall would have been disastrous against RagnaroK's big push. But instead, they weren't up against the wall. They could micro, and now that RagnaroK's big push idea has failed, he is going for that comeback unit. He is going for the Infestors, but is it too late?
Hives on the way as well, so no doubt Vipers with Abducts and Parasitic Bombs will come in later. Hydras and then Lurkers. Nice units that can scale well against this battle map composition, especially pre-Ghost Tech. Biles, they can force Maru to move back, but they never really land against such fast units. The Cyclones, a nightmare to deal with. Normally the answer to Cyclones is to flank them, to come around, sandwich them from two sides, take away their mobility. But my gosh, what a commanding style from Maru. The hatchery in the top goes down to the Banshees. The Cyclones are picking off units all over the shop. The Roach Ravager Link coming in. A desperate attempt to get forward. The Vikings even killing Overseers here. RagnaroK is up against the wall with no room to breathe, and Maru is leaning on his chest, trying to push those last bits of life out of this Zerg. RagnaroK trying to fight back, but a hatchery goes down as well on the other side. And this fight, he just doesn't have enough to defend.
That was his main base going down. The Banshees never stop being produced. We even have Maru moving on just in case this alone does not work, and it looks like it will be cleaned up, but it's nothing actually. Maru's got more supplies, still got the Banshees. He's moving on to Ghosts. There's going to be so many more options past this point for Maru than there will ever be for RagnaroK.
Doesn't feel good getting two-port Bansheed by anyone. Kind of feels like they're toying with you a little bit. But this was legitimately just a well-executed build, finding the perfect situation. And Maru, not a drop of sweat to be seen. Absolutely no stress, completely chilled. 2-0 up in this semi-final.
Yep. Pretty dominating, but again, to give some credit for that last game, just strategically, the build orders did not work out. RagnaroK did not get the scouts, did gamble certainly to an extent. I mean, against anything besides double Banshee, throw out some alternatives, even double battle cruisers, they would have been taken so long that maybe the attacks that would have hit with enough time to do damage. If we're talking about two Banshees, you know, a normal 1-1-1 build, again, either their damage output isn't quite enough or they're somewhere else before they come back home. Of course, any amount of third CC in a barracks, you just don't have enough units. It works against a lot is what I'm trying to say here. It can work against a lot, but I think against that in particular, never.
I think RagnaroK showed great poise in that game despite it. Ling run by was good. Good attempt with the Roach Ravager shove. Just wasn't quite able to have the numbers to make it work, or the surprise. Either one of those would have worked, but I think we are seeing improvement from game 1 to game 2. The problem is this is a best of 5, and you've used up all your spare lives. Now you've got to win 3 games in a row. Maru, of course, is going to be more free and loose than ever. And I gotta say, Zombie Grub, these are the points where I feel like Maru likes to build proxy barracks or Reaper rushes. You know, 2 racks Reaper into one of his 4 racks builds. Just proxy 2 racks out there. I think there's so many dynamic things that RagnaroK has to worry about. It's gonna be hard for him to pick his build order.
That's exactly the problem. You have to worry about what the other guy is also capable of doing now that he has 2 lives in his pocket. But you also move on, I believe, to Maru's map choice. So just going from bad to worse here. In the bottom right, now up 2-0. Again, looking to be the first Terran in a global championship final in 6 years. That does not sound cool, but that's what it is, guys. In the bottom right, as the red Terran, he is Maru.
And in the top left side, he is a massive underdog in this series, playing for Alpha X for the last few years and really coming to his own in the last year or two. He's made a GSL Finals. He's now here in the top 4 of the World Championship. Give your energy to this man. It is RagnaroK.
Oh, you said it, Pig. You did say it, and here we have it. Maru going to go for the 2 Rax Reaper opener. Not severely proxied, of course. Not totally all in, but still, going to provide that pressure.
Absolutely. And he does like his 3cc follow-up, but very well could also just be going for the 4 Rex build that we talked about, the Stim Shields push. And he's just going to be moving forwards with that Reaper pressure to open up. RagnaroK going for a confident hatchery first. No drone scout, no safety precautions. I like it. I like that RagnaroK's confident enough to just do a standard opening. He's not playing too paranoid. And as a big fan of the underdog, I always just want to see him step up in this moment of pressure. It's so hard. It's so easy to give up in this moment. But I really don't think that's the sort of stuff that RagnaroK's made of.
No, he definitely has to be mentally resilient at the very least. Certainly resilient in this game to defend against the early Reaper harassment. Now, it's not going to be that very dedicated 3 Rax either. That can also be at home. It should be maybe even just 3 Reapers, 3 to 5, and then into the Marine production. It's a follow-up that can be very tricky for the Zergs to both find out and then, yes, deal with. So that's more so what I am concerned for. That's what RagnaroK should be concerned for. If he lets these initial Reapers start to snowball, then yeah, it might not end the game right then and there, but it will definitely point in the direction of a Maru victory.
And it's a good spawn for Maru as well, because his add-ons will be on the inside of his wall-in.
Yeah.
We've seen a few players have them on the outside, and it make them struggle. That Beyond vs. Serral game on Ancient Cistern, going to be something that, of course, haunts Beyond's and most Terran players' dreams, with the add-ons getting sniped and siege tanks getting stuck and all sorts of stuff. On this position, Maru feels so comfortable. He's just like, there's no way Stim gets sniped, super safe against any sort of bust, and I'm blocking the 3rd base here to start things off. And the other 3rd as well, both of them. Oh, that's massive.
I really like this choice from Maru. I think that it was all too tempting to go for a couple of drone kills initially, but I think if you just block the 3rd hatchery for the Zerg, I think it tilts them so much. It puts them in a bad position, again, for more so the follow-up, not just for the 3 Reapers initially, which are never going to kill you. They could get a couple drones, or they could block both your hatcheries, and both are painful, but I think blocking both hatcheries is the most painful.
Well, and he's built 8 Zerglings as well. That's even less drones. If you're on 2 base, but at least you're full of drones on those 2 bases, it's not too bad. You can do things from there, but RagnaroK's stuck building extra queens and lings. He's really got this pressure piling onto him. Behind it, Maru's like, yep, 3rd CC, Stim, Factory. He is chilled out and progressing forwards. RagnaroK finally going to get his 3rd base down, about a minute delayed, and he is definitely not having a comfortable series here. Maru just showing his comfort on this stage.
No, yes, that's exactly what he's doing. Maru is so comfortable. RagnaroK is trying to be comfortable. You pointed it out, like, at least he's not trying to just, you know, pull first and be super paranoid all the time. But it feels like even when things could line up well for him to at least give us a decent macro game, well, they do not. So this is certainly the shining example of that. Just early on, getting denied his hatcheries for so long, unable to do anything in return as well, because you wall off, of course, those 2 barracks, the 2 supply depots. It's not like you can even try and get a counterattack in. So Maru just gets to do what he wants. He's got consistent scouting because he has the Reapers. He's going to follow up with a lot of pressure too, going into the 2-1-1, basically kind of follow up here, and he'll be out in the map again very soon with a bunch of Marines.
There's some nasty tank spots on this I've seen Maru utilize, for instance, against Lambo in the group stage. He definitely is very capable of delaying his 3rd command center in this scenario. And after the double medevac, just following it up with tanks and Marines rallying across the map and really creating just constant engagement, stress, and pressure for the Zerg. Something which is hard for you to stand up against. Now, double engineering bait does go down behind this for Maru. And that is pre-3rd command center, right?
What? No.
Oh, no, he did go third CC before. Sorry, I forgot about that. All right.
I was kind of laughing at the Marines not meaning to go out. So I was like totally distracted. No, they're supposed to be plugging up the wall, waiting for their medevacs to arrive. Anything beforehand is just unnecessary. Could it have surprised RagnaroK and even killed him? Yeah, if Marines just show up on your base and you have nothing, but much safer to wait for the medevacs. And yeah, third CC will be coming down. RagnaroK trying to recover, currently only up about 12 workers. I feel particularly great. Baneling Nest will be done. You don't really necessarily want to have to build Banelings to defend only 16 Marines and 2 medevacs, but if it's anything more than that, okay, yeah, it's just going to be that. Then you'd want them. So obviously they're very important for the next stage of this TVZ.
RagnaroK's army supply is actually very high right now. Maru, of course, cut a lot of production to get that third command center so early. The Reapers finally are going to be getting shut down. Well, even then, seriously, okay.
Yeah.
Just leave, man. How much vision are you going to get from this?
He was going to leave, and he was like, no, you can have this. It's for you. You're welcome. I'm not just going to kill you 3-0 like that. But it's still very possible that he does, of course, 3-0. Maru, 16 Marines, again, they should not be capable of ending this game. They are not looking to end this game, but they are looking to deny creep, grab queens, kill lings that are not being controlled correctly, and then help take care of the follow-up as well, in which Maru, well, that will be the real test for RagnaroK. Whenever Maru gets some tanks, some Widow Mines across the field.
RagnaroK, way overbuilt army here, though.
Yeah.
He's just got so many Zerglings and so few drones, and Maru's like, oh, that was a poke? That's all that was, a light poke? I'm happy. I'm fine to not do damage here. You've already put yourself behind economically. How do you ever secure this fourth base and make use of it? Like, you can defend it for now, but the thing is, Maru able to come in, take a trade, pick up, save those Marines. He's creating pressure, and RagnaroK is just behind on the economy. Yeah. And that means, of course, with all those barracks finishing up, Maru's production is going to explode.
Yeah, going up to 8 barracks here. I think a lot of expectations for this map, perhaps even just the general map pool, was that we would see some more 8 Raxes, and I think this is just going to be such a brutal follow-up considering how the game has gone. Would be difficult to hold, even if RagnaroK had a really good early game. Now, I do feel like it's impossible. You just can't help but be so sided with Maru with how the series has gone as a whole. And this game, RagnaroK's got to pull a rabbit out of his hat.
Good surrounds can always make it happen, Zombie Grub. A good, beautiful flank, and I believe in the power of that. But you're absolutely right. RagnaroK's coming in it from behind. Definitely at a disadvantage. I like the micro, though. The Queens do push it back. And those Marines are starting to clear more creep on both sides. Remember, the central tank position on this map is so deadly, and that push will be moving out in the near future. Now that the 8 barracks are up, the tanks are unsieging. Maru is probably going to be moving through the center. He hasn't started 2-2 just yet because the armory's not there, but he will be doing that behind. And for now, 12 Marines, 1 siege tank, and of course, there'll be medevacs rallying in behind it as well. And he is going to be wedging tanks in this forward angle and branching into the Zerg territory. RagnaroK tries to run out there, but he's not ready for this at all.
No, he is not. That creep is going to be denied even further. Just one more scan necessary, which maybe he's waiting on, actually, because it probably should happen. A bit of a run-by or a surround attempt is being set up, but it has been seen, but noticed by Maru, who's going to let his reinforcements take care of that one.
Yep, the Lings go past, but they will get cleaned up. The SCVs on the third are there. Maru still continuing to push into the front at the same time. Didn't actually pull his SCVs off his third base, though. Maru with a little bit of a mistake, but his rally gets over. At the end of the day, only 9 SCVs go down. These siege tanks forcing a fight. The Banelings get hits, but not on clumped up Marines. Maru is at 93 army supply versus just 71. And he is forcing RagnaroK to defend this base. RagnaroK's Queens are out of energy. He's going to have to pull the trigger.
He tried to go for a surround, but it was as Maru's reinforcements were coming forward. So off creep, the Banelings were actually found to turn into a very good engagement from Maru, who's looking to pile on the pressure, looking to end this game, end this series right here, right now. RagnaroK got to make the decision to let that hatchery go, but what does he really have behind this? Another Ling run by attempting to do some extreme damage. It does look like they'll have a bit more success this time, but will that actually be enough?
Maru is just so consistent with applying the pressure. Now the fourth is down. He'll focus a little more on gathering his forces, and he'll branch out down to the right side of the map. He knows that RagnaroK losing that fourth is going to be popping a new one up in the top right, and Maru says, no worries. Let's keep building SCVs, drop my own fourth command center. Oh, and at the same time, there is a giant army going towards that new 4.
Yeah, it's not that you're so all in, you can't go ahead and build another command center with his 8 racks. The only downside really from this position is that Maru doesn't have double factory production. And that eventually will probably be fixed. He could also just go into a very biocentric style, something he says he likes to do, especially if he's feeling it that day. It's a quote, not me. And he might just go ahead and feel that anything will work at this point, as the momentum is undeniably on his side. RagnaroK has lived, but it's not exactly thriving.
Those Marines baiting him into big tank volleys right now. Beautiful siege position across these bridges, up on these high grounds. And I feel on this map pool, the Terrans are so good at putting those tanks nice and far back and then just stimming in and out and baiting the opponent in. The medevacs are low on juice though, so Maru's definitely overcommitting if he stims again, which he does. Ooh. Those Marines are so deep in the red, the Hydras can one-tap him.
Yeah.
He needs to take a bit of a breather on this one. There's no reason to keep pushing in here, but Maru says, I'm so far ahead, I'm just going to force the fight. I do think that backing off with those Marines and taking time is the correct call. On the other hand, RagnaroK is so low on army. It feels like any aggression is just forcing him into bad situations.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what's happening. He managed to find a run by that killed 19 SCVs, I believe.
Oh, the Evo zombie grub.
That popped up for a second. But yes, the Evolution Chambers are unfortunately at this base. The Army Focus Fire down at the cost of a couple of Marines, but certainly worth it there for Maru.
Yeah, Maru may have lost those SCVs, and it definitely wounded his economy, but he's rebuilding, floating out of 4th. He's got +3 attack on the way. He's on 2-2 upgrades. And, of course, RagnaroK's 2-2 was just denied. RagnaroK behind in the upgrades. He's down in the worker count, down in the army count, and now down in the base count. This is not a good position. Zerg is meant to be ahead in pretty much all of those numbers except army supply. And yet RagnaroK finds himself with no advantages. You were talking about pulling a rabbit out of the hat right now. He better be wearing a big old wizard's hat, having some magic wands and tricks up his sleeve, because he's got to pull out some absolute madness. And against Maru, the guy who is looking like he is set to potentially get his first world championship. I mean, this is so huge. He's been so dominant. Nice surround for RagnaroK. Good angle. I just don't know if he has the numbers.
He doesn't. He actually doesn't. That is too much Terran right there. RagnaroK tried his best. He wanted to perform for the audience and get to those finals for Katowice. But once again, it'll be Maru ending his run. And for Maru, this means he will get to the finals. He knows it. RagnaroK, of course, just smiling, realizing what's going on. Maru is going to get there. The drone pool, because you're on your last life. It's your last appearance here on the stage, but Maru has definitely got it.
Yeah, that laughter is what comes out of a man who appreciates greatness and knows exactly what he's up against in this match and sees that, look, this is just ridiculous. The power, the onslaught coming my way. What an impossible match it is to play against Maru when he's performing at this level in this form. Really brilliant play from Maru, and RagnaroK is forced to tap out.
GG. Well played. RagnaroK did give it his all. He has made